NHL Picks here on PuckTime, WagerTalk TV. It is Wednesday, April the 29th. Andrew McInnis, Carmine Bianco, Brian Leonard. We got 3 games to break down for you, a play of the day, some great specials, a jam-packed day of sports. Look forward to diving into all of it. It was a pretty good day on the show for us yesterday. We'll try and continue it again here today. We hit the prop play again yesterday, so the one and done is the way to go, and we'll keep doing that in the playoffs. We'll try and keep things moving. And only one play for me in hockey yesterday. We did have Oilers first period minus a half goal, 3-0 after the first period. And I also gave out on the show Anaheim under 3.5 goals. So pretty good day as far as hockey is concerned yesterday. But hey, Carm, as we always say, yesterday is in the past. We got a big day today. How are you, man?
I don't know. I want to talk about the past. I mean, not angry. I'm not angry, but listen, we all have the ebbs and flows. I've lost like 2 hockey games in a row, which isn't a big deal, but it still bugs me because Dallas was Minnesota just ground them. I thought it would be the other way around, and Minnesota gave them nothing. They had like 11 shots on goal. Dallas at one point with about 4 minutes left in the second period. We're seeing a lot of that in the NHL playoffs this season with teams with low shot counts. But kudos to Minnesota, sending it home for Game 6 with a chance to close it out. And then like the afternoon, Andrew, I play a Champions League game, half a goal. My team is getting half a goal. I thought Bayern Munich were a great play yesterday, getting plus a half a goal. They score 4. The only problem is the other team scored 5. So when do you see a 5-4 score line in European football? You just don't. It is one of those things, but we just move on to today and try and forget it. It's just nuts because I was live betting that game. From the get-go, you could tell that there was no way that game wasn't going to have at least 4 or 5 goals in it. You could just tell. So I just started live betting it, but unfortunately, I can't do that for clients because by the time I load a play up, it's gone. It's not available. So you can't give out live plays, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm at a local tap house yesterday on a Tuesday evening because right by where my girlfriend works, there's a bar like right across, and I'm like, okay, I'm either gonna go home after running errands or I'm gonna be early for her, have a pint, and wait for her. So I'm sitting there, and there's not a lot of TVs in this place. It's like more like a nice spot just to gather, and there's a ton of taps. And I see one TV at a booth next to me. This guy looks over at me and goes, you know, we could be talking about this day in 20 years. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, this is history. Look at this game. It's 5-4. And then every guy in the bar that had any slither of sports fandom gathered around this one booth watching the rest of the Champions League game. And it's like 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we're all just like so intrigued. This guy was English. He was like the most diehard soccer fan I've talked to in a while. And he's like painting. He's like, this is history. I'm telling you, this is history. But Carm, I'll tell you that Minnesota, I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, but it's such a weird thing with Dallas, man, with their 5-on-5. I don't understand what's going on. Like they
can't score. They can't score. No.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're right. I don't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, they can't. They need a power play to score, or they just can't score. It is nuts. And then and the final one is the Oilers. Yeah, they're sending it back. If you took some of that plus 330 for them to win the series, you're getting you've got a really good price now. They're going to Anaheim for a Thursday game, and that one's going to be a good one because I don't think Anaheim wants to come back to Edmonton for a Game 7. Yeah, but we could very well be trending that way. But kudos to the Oilers. Look what happens when you play some defense, guys. Hey, that's all you got to do. Play some defense.
How about pasta? Do you have any pasta last night for dinner, Carm, or what?
No, but it's a series, and I expect it to go 7 games. It is just, I think that while I think the Sabres will go to Boston and actually win that game and close it out, I've seen this script line before where a team loses at home in a closeout game and then goes on the road and wins the closeout game. It is really weird. But the Sabres really did nothing. I think they tried to protect that lead early on. You don't score in the first period and then try and protect it, and then not much going on for them in the second and third periods. But they did get a power play goal.
Yes.
That's a parade in itself, Andrew.
And
but
just one more point, Carmen, if I can. Just one more point, if I can.
Yes.
Really quick. I regretfully waited pretty late to release my Oilers play yesterday because of the McDavid stuff. But I'll tell you, like there really wasn't an ounce in me that thought he wasn't going to play. And I'm looking forward to. Maybe we could ask Brian when we bring him in with this. But like, since betting has become legal in so many states, it's well available here in Canada. And people talk about with NBA players, with the NFL, you need to be able to release the information, the proper information. Carm, let's be honest. If what happened yesterday in the NHL happened in the NFL, like Connor McDavid said in the postgame, there was never even a question that I was going to play or not. But his coach, 6 hours before the game, said, McDavid is a game time decision. We're not sure about him. Like, is that some type of gamesmanship that shouldn't be? Because the line was 180 and it closed at 150, 155. So people were able to take advantage of that because the line actually dipped. There's actual people out there that believed he wouldn't play in a game like that.
Yeah, I think he was always going to play, especially because he, even though he looked a step slower in the game previous, he was skating fine and he still had those bursts. So I think he was always going to play. Gamemanship, yeah, probably. You know what I mean? Like everything in the playoffs is upper body injury, lower body injury. You never know what the hell's wrong with the guy. As you know, as far as that goes, I expected him to be in there as well too. And they even mixed up the lines, enlisting the lines that said certain lines in practice, and then completely different lines when the game started. So yeah, it's a bit of gamemanship. But Andrew, you're wearing that lovely jersey today as your Montreal Canadiens try to send this home for a closeout elimination game at home if they can win the game here. Plus 143. I'm telling you, I'm going to say this, Andrew, and then I'm going to give the mic over to you. The Montreal Canadiens continue to get disrespected in the sports betting odds world because this series is tied at 2. The Canadiens have played extremely well in all 4 games, and the Lightning are minus 175. To me, that is a complete overreaction to what happened in Montreal, and that price is way too high. It's almost like they want to suck you into taking the regulation line, which I would not take in this game because I see an OT game here. I see an OT game again. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I mean, Carl, look, like they gave us the series price at the start of the series, so it's hard not to imagine that even after what we've seen so far, they're going to relatively go back to what they labeled the first game in Tampa Bay, just based on what the original price was. But, you know, from a Canadiens perspective, I'll just say this. Like, I think the one frustrating thing for them is going to be if they end up losing the series, that the first 2 games that they've lost, they had the lead in both of those games. And now that can be frustrating because it's not like they've lost a game that they probably didn't deserve to win. I'm not saying that every game has been dominant by them, but on the score sheet, and you know what makes me laugh? People say, and the writers and the videographer, you know, people will say that hit from Crozier on Slafkovsky was a game-changing hit. You know what was game-changing? The Montreal Canadiens allowing a goal with 2 minutes to go in the second period. That's what was game-changing. Every coach, every team knows start of the period, end of the period, you have to be playing well. So I agree with you. When you look at this, look, you have to take the underdog here. And look, I get it. I'm wearing the jersey. You guys all know it. I want everybody that watches PuckTime, though, to think, how many times of the year, every year, do I give out the Montreal Canadiens? I very rarely do. I actually prefer not to do it. But based on how this series has been played out, this is closer than what these odds indicate here. It truly is. We did see an absolute parade to the penalty box, Carm, in Game 4. And I would prefer to have somewhere in the middle it can't be so that games 1 and 2 of all the playoffs, more gets let go. And then games 3 and 4, if you cough on somebody, they call it. You have to have some type of happy medium. I do expect that here in this one, which could make for an under. The power plays have not been fantastic, but it could help out as far as that's concerned. But we are getting into the later parts of the series, which kind of indicate, as you mentioned, Carm, we could see that exact score line again. 2-2 going to overtime. And then, 3-2 would be the final score, which would lead us to an under. I wanted to read something, though, because, I talked about Dallas and their 5-on-5 stuff. Well, this is one thing that's frustrated me as a Canadiens fan here. This is from Chris Meany on Twitter. He talks about Tampa Bay versus Montreal at 5-on-5. Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, and Demidov at 5-on-5 have zero points. Hagel, Kucherov, Cirelli, Gensel at 5-on-5 have 11 points. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The bottom 6 for the Montreal Canadiens has scored 5 of their 6 goals at 5-on-5. 2 from Anderson, 1 from Texier, 1 from Doc, 1 from Bolduc, and 1 from Hudson there. There's not one goal from the bottom 6 of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So what breaks through first, Carm? The bottom 6 for Tampa or the top 6 for Montreal? And you tell me if I'm being biased because I'm already wearing the jersey, but if I was the Montreal Canadiens, I'd be more confident my top 6 can break through than my bottom 6 breaking through. If Zachary Bolduc is scoring for you, I think Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are going to be just fine. So I would rather my bottom 6 be performing well and the top 6 have to step up than vice versa.
Yeah, you know what I mean, Andrew, despite the series being like tied at 2, I thought it was one that that Tampa would probably win in 6 or less. No disrespect to your Canadians, but it's just Tampa's confused me over the last month of the season. You saw it basically in the last 7 or 8 games. They played the Sabres a couple times. They tried to get physical with them. It was a slew of, as you said, of bodies going to the penalty box and back, and it's been like that in the playoffs. They're taking bad penalties at the wrong time, and Montreal can make them pay for it. This is why I think this price is a little out of whack for me. You talk about 5-on-5 numbers through 4 games, 601 to 532 are the XG 5-on-5. Montreal having the lead in that category. In all situations, obviously it's much higher, but 5-on-5 they've been the better team. So it stands to reason to me that if the top 6 for Montreal wake up a little bit, 5-on-5, that they win this game. They win this game, send it back to Montreal, and who knows what happens there. This has been a series that now looks like it's projecting to be 7 games, because I don't think if Montreal wins here, they go home and win again. I think Tampa probably bounces back and vice versa. Tampa wins here, I'd probably take Montreal in game 6. So I think this one's going 7. But if that top 6 for Montreal starts to play, Andrew, they get that win tonight. So 175 is an insane price.
Yeah, and I've got a semi-lukewarm take for the Montreal Canadiens tonight that I think that we're going to see the lines mixed up in the top 2 lines. Earlier in the year, we saw Slavkovsky get moved to the second line. John Cooper put on a coaching masterclass in Game 4 when he separated his lines a little bit. People in the comments section will say that I talk too much about the last change sometimes, but it is an advantage you can have. Now, Marty doesn't have that advantage anymore. So what you do to give yourself a better advantage is you separate your best players. And the fact is, Carm, Demidov is a young player, young, highly skilled European guy that came over last year. The guys on his line haven't been doing him any favors. So do you keep your top line stacked, or do you separate one of the guys? And I think Slavkovsky goes down to line 2, and one of the other guys goes up to line 1. We'll talk about that later on in the prop segment.
Yeah, we will. And Andrew, I think I'm gonna end it with this, and then we're gonna bring in Brian Leonard to talk about the Utah and Vegas game. Is that the best thing Marty St. Louis can do as coach of the Montreal Canadiens is to not change too much up. It's 2-2 in a series. They've proven that they can win in Tampa Bay, and they have the opportunity to play one of their best games of the series tonight and send this home for an elimination game where that crowd at the Bell Center is absolutely phenomenal. It is just, it's deafening. So I wouldn't change too much. You're in a series. You're in a series that a lot of people said you wouldn't be in. I think at the beginning, I said Montreal was plus 205 to win the series. And I go, wow, they're completely disrespecting the Canadians because Tampa was at like minus 270 or something. And I thought there's no way you can take that series price as it was. And it's right now, at least it's proving to be true. So with that said, let's bring in Brian Leonard. I haven't seen this guy in such a long time.
Let's bring him in. Brian, I'm sure you had so much fun with Carm, you wanted to see him again.
I did. We had Carmen was nice enough to set everything up. My wife come home. She was so relaxed. She says, I had so much fun on this vacation. It was a short time, but we really enjoyed Canada. And other than the traffic in Toronto, which I had no idea was as bad as what it is. But other than that, yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, Andrew, it just goes to show you. So on the weekend, the Brian gets here. Okay, there's a concert at Scotiabank Arena where obviously the Leafs and Raptors play. There was a Raptors Cleveland game on Thursday, a concert on Friday, the Raptors game on the weekend. They have the Blue Jays in Cleveland in town where you're going to get 40 to 50,000 people. They had the soccer team playing a 1:00 Saturday game. And our government decides, hey, this is a great time to do construction and close the highways into downtown Toronto. But hey, take transit. It's much better. But we're also closing transit into downtown Toronto. So they basically, what do you want us to do? Like fly on my imaginary helicopter into downtown Toronto?
I heard about that. I heard about that.
Insane thing. But I got Brian and his wife downtown a different way, and it only took us about 20 minutes. So thanks to my good friend Lisa, she cut about an hour off of our travel time and added it to our drinking time.
Yeah, well, that's the most important. That's the most important right there is cutting in. And I remember you gave a good advice to me and my old man about that when we arrived at Pearson. I'll tell you, Brian, I think the Cleveland Guardians manager found out you were in town. He bought your plane ticket back home. The Cavaliers, the Guardians, how many other Cleveland teams are there? They picked the wrong time to go to Toronto while you were there.
Yeah, they did. There was a lot of Cleveland fans out there, and we actually, the first night we went out to a bar and to watch the Cleveland Toronto game in basketball, and I was all excited to be able to watch, being a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, watching it in front of the Toronto fans. Didn't even turn the game on until after it already started. And then once it came on, they never put the sound on. And I go, this is not the way it is in Vegas or in Cleveland. Yeah. Your home team is playing on TV. You got the sound on. Everybody's crazy.
Had to be the wrong bar. Had to be the wrong bar.
It's miserable. I talked about it a couple of years ago. I've gone from place to place to place trying to find for a group of us that will put audio on for the games. And a lot of these places are like, well, it's music, but only during the playoffs will we put the audio on. Well, what do you think this is? It's the playoffs, right? So with that said,
I agree. Audio is the best. It gets me. Like, you know what I do? And I got this from my grandmother on commercials during hockey games or anything. I press the mute button. I don't listen to commercials. The second the game comes back on, I have the volume so loud, like I'm in a movie theater, because I'm so excited to watch the hockey games. But I don't need it. It just gets me fired up. And I get what you're saying, Brian. It gets you more pumped up if you hear, it's like when you walk into the sports book and you hear all the different TV noises and stuff like that. It gets you going a little bit here. So speaking of getting going, are the Vegas Golden Knights going to get going in this game here tonight, Brian? I got to ask you this before we get into your breakdown. I know you're there in Vegas. You watch the games, but are you a bit surprised by what Utah has done? I mean, Dylan Guenther, Clayton Keller, some very talented players over there, but has Utah caught you off guard at all?
No, because I had watched the other games that we had played against them, we being the Vegas Golden Knights. Utah's got more speed. A lot of these teams have more speed than Vegas does. And Vegas, for the most part, is a finesse team, but they surprised Utah in the first game being very physical. And it's been a very physical series. There hasn't been a ton of fighting, but there's been the hits have been really hard hits. These two teams match up pretty well against themselves, against the other, and very similar to what you were talking about in the last game that you had just mentioned, where if you came into the series and you see that one team is heavily favored, well, we've got 4 games out there now, and it shows you Montreal is just as good in this series matching up as Tampa is. And I think Utah is just as good as Vegas is. And, Vegas is off of the first overtime win in ages. Yeah. They're so bad in the overtime in the regular season because they played a 3-on-3 in the shootout. It's just in your brain as a Vegas fan. Oh, we're going back to overtime again, another loss. Well, they got that victory in the last minute or so of that game. That was huge. But it was a toss-up game. Vegas got off to a nice start in that game. I never felt comfortable. It was 3-0. And Utah kept pounding back, and actually took that 4-3 lead. These two teams, like the other two that you just spoke about, know each other very well. I don't see a lot of changes here. I can't see why Vegas is such a large favorite in this game. They have not been good at home all season long. Yeah, they've got more playoff experience than Utah does, but Utah looked really good the first couple of games. Now that you're in the 4th game of what will likely be a 7-game series, all those jitters, all those playoff situations where one team had the advantage over the other, they're gone now. So you've got to look at what has been played so far in this series, and Utah has shown they don't deserve to be this size of an underdog in this game, very similar to Montreal in the other game. So that's something I'm taking a look at. Also, something that I have used, and I did use I had a play yesterday. I had Boston against Buffalo. If you've seen these teams that don't have a lot of playoff experience getting off to like one game away from clinching it, look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia takes a 3-0 lead, can't get the 4th win. Can't get the 4th win in the next game. You see it in Anaheim yesterday. Anaheim setting themselves up. Can't get the 4th win. You see it with Buffalo. Can't get the 4th win. These teams that don't have a lot of experience have a harder time, and we hear this all the time. The hardest game to win is the clinching game. Regardless of what sport you're in, it's really shown itself in the NHL this year. If a team with less playoff experience gets that 3rd win, it's harder to get the 4th. I'm kind of rooting for Montreal to get this win tonight so I can come back and put a really sizable wager on Tampa Bay the next game. So I think they'll be in that same situation, but they got to win tonight. This is a tough place. Tampa Bay's got a much better home ice advantage than Vegas does, and we'll see how it comes out. But I want Vegas to win. That's my local team, but I'm a bettor, and there's no way I could lay this number in this series.
I was just going to say, Brian, when you say that about like Montreal winning tonight, it's the exact same thought I have with some of these series that I think are going to go 6 or 7 games. And my thought is the same, which is I want a certain team to win this game so I can bet against them in the next game because I'm going to get a much better price on it. With that said, whatever happens with Vegas tonight, I still think the series is likely going to go 7. I think Utah wins at home if they lose tonight, and we see 7 games. And obviously, the game that Andrew and I are going to talk about coming up soon is the Pittsburgh and Philly one. That's one that could easily go 7 games as well too. So, and there's not a doubt in my mind that the Sabres series can go 7 as well too. The Boston Bruins have been in every single game thus far, even the game, maybe not the game where they sort of hung out Swayman out to dry, but that's the one thing that pisses me off about yesterday's show is I think in a way, and I should never let someone else influence me, but in a way, I let Lawrence's thoughts that the Sabres were going to win a big one-sided game influence me on taking the under, because I absolutely thought the under was a solid play yesterday. Bruins bouncing back from being embarrassed. You knew they were going to play better defensively, and they did. And, that game finishes 2-1. So it's one of those ones, Andrew, what is it? Revisionist history or something like that.
I get it.
I think the phrases. So, yeah.
Well, I find it interesting. Like, if you look at this series so far, we have had 3 out of the 4 games reach at least the 6-goal mark here, guys. And, what we saw yesterday out of the Edmonton Oilers, they hit their team total, but they had their best defensive game of the series here, guys. And, it's funny because you could talk to anybody about this and maybe get a different answer. And I don't have Ralph to go over the exact numbers here, guys. But from what I have looked at, and of course, the empty net goals are factored, right? And I always do like those empty net goals for the overs and stuff. But I feel like a lot of times what we do see in this pocket of games 5 and 6s, maybe even, you see it's like, okay, we have a 2-1 lead. Let's protect it. Oh, we had a 3-1 lead. Let's protect it. And you almost saw that switch get flipped yesterday with Edmonton, where it's like, we played the best first period of our life. Excuse my language, but don't fuck it up. We played the best period we could possibly play. Let's not ruin it. So I'm very curious to see what we see in this game as far as the total is concerned. Coming off a 9-goal game, Carmine talked about Boston being embarrassed, Brian. I know no team got embarrassed in the last one, but both goalies let in 4 or 5 goals. So curious to see what happens as far as the defense tonight.
Yeah, in fact, if you take a look at a lot of these games, you're not getting a lot of shots on goal, and you're still giving up a lot of goals. The other day, I think Utah had 11 shots on goal and they scored 4 goals or something. So the goaltending, some guys really go out there and play a good game. Other games that you look at and go, how the hell do they give up those goals, or how the hell are they not more goals? Because you've got certain guys that just have not played well and they're getting away with it, or you got other guys that have played well and they just had some bad luck. But if you've seen this far along, and we talked about this going into the playoffs, where your teams make your changes in between the games, that kind of thing is something that really helps. I think it helps Utah tonight because they've had their coach longer and he knows the players better. And, Vegas signs a guy, 8 games away from the playoffs, and they haven't had any really games that they needed to play hard and whatever. They played Colorado. But now they're in a situation. What changes is he going to make? Because he talked about it. He said that coming into the playoffs, he goes, we're not going to make any well, if you're not going to make any changes, I don't want to bet on you. Because as Carmine just talked about, you need to be able to make adjustments. You just can't come out and throw the same thing out and do the same thing, because the other team will make the adjustments and they will beat you. You both have to anticipate what the other team's going to do, make those adjustments, come out with a game plan.
Brian, from a goaltending perspective, I'll put you on the firing line here. If Carter Hart has a bad game tonight, because he allowed 4 goals on like you said, on 11 shots at one point in that game, if he has a bad game here, do you go to the backup? Do you go to your other goalie in game 6? Because I know Tortorella's a Carter Hart guy, right? He had him in Philadelphia. So it stands to reason that, he trusts Carter Hart. But he allowed 4 in that game. They ended up winning 5-4. If they were to lose tonight's game 4-1, 5-2, 5-3, where he allows another 4 or 5 goals, do you go to a backup?
It's a tough decision to make because I don't know what the deal is in Vegas with Aiden Hill. There was the one shot. There was the one shot of him during the end of the regular season where he was waiting to fist bump everybody coming into the locker room, and the only one that did it was the other goalie. Everybody else ignored him. I saw something yesterday. It was the same thing after the game. Nobody was dapping him up. It's like, is he pissed off the entire team for some reason that we don't know about, because if he has, the players on the team may not play as hard when he gets in there. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of it. But normally I would say, yes, you would go to the backup. And Schmidt has been very good too, but he hasn't touched the ice in how long either. So I don't know what they're going to do. They better not hope they lose this game.
It's probably a calculated risk that they wouldn't take, but one that I always, broach the subject of, and think that it's interesting that, having allowed 4, if he has another bad game, what do you do? So we shall see. Brian, what do you got to promote on this hump day in sports?
I've got a lot to promote. Been on a really nice run. Won 2 out of 3 last night. We've been cashing just about every day. I talked before the playoffs started in hockey and in the NBA how easy the hockey and NBA playoffs are. We're 67% so far combined in those 2 sports. I've got 2 plays up in hockey today, 1 play up in the NHL, and we're hot in baseball. And if you've watched Total Bases, you know how well we've been doing on that. Another winner on that yesterday, another winning day on the Diamond. So, we've got a real big card today. Got 9 plays up today, 6 baseball, 2 NHL, 1 NBA. You can get them all for $39, or we've got that great special going on. Buy 3 days, get 3 days for free. Today's the day to do it. 9 plays, loving this card, and we've been hot as hell. 16-6 as of late. And if you noticed, I played the Boston Bruins. I play a lot of underdogs in the NHL. So those are with 16-6 with a lot of plus money underdogs. So if you're looking for that, get those. And I will be back. I do put up a daily video in which I give out 2 free selections that I didn't discuss on other shows that I've been on. So those will be coming up as soon as I'm done with this one, and be up later on this afternoon. So if you want to get some more free plays, I've got 1 up on the site right now, and I'll have a couple more in just a few moments.
All right, Brian, 9 plays. Definitely, if there's a package to grab, I'll say it once again, it's Brian's today.
It's rare that you can grab somebody's package, you get 9. That's all I'm saying. That's what I've been told. I don't know.
Call a doctor.
Listen, that 3+3 deal is an absolutely phenomenal one that WagerTalk has. It's been extended because there are so many customers that like it and request it that they've kept it going. So 6 days for $69. That's a great deal. Brian, wishing you the best of luck, my friend, and enjoy tonight's games.
Appreciate it, guys. Good luck to you, and let's get another winning, profitable night on the ice tonight, guys.
All right, Brian. Take care.
Take care.
Andrew, we've taken way too much time to not discuss this game. The Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby he's resting. See, he's no longer standing up. He's lying down. Hold on. Let's wake the guy up. All right. Sid's good to go now. He was serving 2 minutes for diving. Listen, plus 101 on the Penguins, minus 123 on the Flyers. This series looked like it was dead and buried. Winning back-to-back games is huge for Pittsburgh. Can they pull off 3 and set up the opportunity to become only the 5th team in the NHL to come back from a 3-0 deficit and win? I have too much respect for the Flyers right now to think that they can reel off 3 wins. I get it. Philly reeled them off. I'm not sure Pittsburgh can do it. What are your thoughts on this one?
I kind of feel like whoever wins this game, I get the vibe. It's going to be a one-sided game. I know that might sound weird. I think Game 7 could be absolutely tight as anything, and anything can happen once you get there. But as you mentioned, it's tough to win 3 games in a row for Pittsburgh. I think whoever wins this game comes shot out of a cannon and takes an early big lead. So this is the game where I'm going to get involved with the first period over 1.5, Carm. I'm kind of taking the wimpy way out here. But sometimes when a series is on the line, you see teams come out timid, tentative. They're not really into it as much. They're playing more defense. I don't really see that being the case. Dan Vladar has been solved. The Penguins don't seem scared of him anymore. But Artur Shilov's, let's be honest, is he an upgrade from Stuart Skinner? Who knows? But he's gotten the wins. I still think Philadelphia can beat him. So I kind of lean towards the over. First period over for me in this one. And look, sometimes you have to remind yourself, kind of like what you were saying about yesterday on the show, listening to yourself. And, I said this multiple times that I still believe that Pittsburgh correlates with the over. And, as much as it hasn't been necessarily accurate, I still believe they have a lot of goal scorers. So I think regardless of who wins this game, I think we see goals. Elimination games used to be 2-1. These days, we see more elimination games get some pop to them. And let's think back to that Hurricanes and Ottawa Senators game, Carm. 4-2 final, I believe, and 3 goals in the final 5 minutes, it seemed like. So whatever happens, I think we could see some action in this one. So that's the big test for me. And also, when it comes down to the depth in this series, I think Philadelphia's actually had the edge, and that's kind of worrisome. But if Pittsburgh can get something from Anthony Mantha or Ben Kindle or one of those players, that can benefit them a little bit. When you look at the line, what have we seen? -1, 50, 60 at home for the Penguins. Now -123 for Philadelphia. I think this game goes back to Pittsburgh.
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. This game, like the side is not on my card. Is not making my card, and it's mainly because of the fact that I think the Flyers close it out, but I would not be disappointed to see the Pittsburgh Penguins win. And the main reason for that is, who doesn't love a good Game 7? We need some Game 7s in the opening round of the playoffs, especially with two teams that could easily go to OT in Game 7, and then that sets up sort of the golden goal, which happens to belong to Sidney Crosby, as we remember. But with that said, I have respect for this Flyers team. I'm not sure if it's solving Vladar, Andrew, or whether they've solved him or are afraid of him. I think they're just getting more pucks and more quality chances on goal, and now that they're getting them, some of them are going in. So you minimize the chances, you minimize the high danger chances, you minimize the scoring chances, you lower the XG, and you win games 2-1. So with that said, I'm hoping for the Flyers in this one. I would lean Flyers. If I put a gun to my head and said, "Who are you playing tonight?" Leaning Flyers, but also I wouldn't be upset with a Game 7 in this series.
When I think I look at this series overall, let's be honest, Philadelphia was dominating early on in the series. I think Crosby said in an interview he thought in Game 3 they played better hockey, but they didn't come out with the win. But I'm not going to hide it, Carm, and I'm sure most people agree. Philadelphia looked like miles above Pittsburgh the first couple games.
Yeah.
But we have seen a change. And to your point, the question is, you made your bed, you have to lay in it, is the expression. And so the bed that Pittsburgh has made was a 0-3 deficit. So now you have to will yourself to win, 4 straight games. So
yeah,
can they do it? I'm not sure, but I will say this. We're seeing a different version of Pittsburgh right now.
No, we definitely are. And you mentioned Mantha. He was non-existent in the first few games. The guy is off a really good season as well too. They need more production from him, and I think they've started to get it. And this is why they've got a couple of wins. This is essentially do or die for the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight, because win this, we see a Game 7 and a possible moving on to the next round. Lose, and immediately the questions will begin on what the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to do in the offseason. Will Sid still be there? Will Malkin still be there? It is an aging team, or one of the older teams in the NHL, but that's going to be the question. One of the underlying storylines, Andrew, will Martone get into a fight tonight
with Chris Letang?
if the game gets out of hand, and by out of hand, I mean if a team gets up by 3 goals and there's a little scrap and Martone's on the ice, does he drop the gloves, or does he do like he did towards the end of the or at the end of the game there? Which, by the way, I think if I have the rules correctly, if you get a after the 20-minute mark, if you get a at the end of the game, if you get a 10-minute misconduct, it's a game suspension. I could be wrong. Or any altercation after the final whistle is gone is a 10-minute misconduct as well too. So
yeah, you're only allowed to fight during play, during the game. Yeah. So, it's funny you mentioned Martone, because look, I think he's been great for Philly. He's a perfect Philly player, plays the right way. One thing about him, it's become more of a common thing where these players, because of the time of year that the college season ends, they get to pop out of college and play in the NHL. And last year, Ryan Leonard from Washington did the same thing. And there's one player people always forget that did that exact same thing. Cale Makar did that. He came out of college and he joined the Avalanche for the postseason. And you got to think that sometimes it's almost like, obviously they know it's a big deal, but you almost like don't know how awesome it is because you're just riding the wave. And Cole Caulfield did it in 2021 when they went to the finals during the bubble year. And then you look back on it a few years later and you're like, man, I might not be back here forever, for years. So I feel like he's just playing with so much swagger right now because he's just riding the wave. Like, do you think if you would have told him last year he would have been really close to fighting Chris Letang, he would have believed you? Like, you got to think it's pretty cool for those young guys. I think the guy is like 20 years old. Chris Letang could be his father.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, listen, he started the series off extremely well. You almost use like this phrase, and pardon my language, there's no swear word in it, where a younger guy comes out and he's just he's full of energy or whatever. And you said it's like piss and vinegar, right? Yeah. It is just, they're so hyped to be there. And it seems like they're skating faster than any other player on the ice. But as the series progresses, and you start to take some hits and the veterans start to take over in the games, his production, I think, starts to come down. This is why I don't want to be taking any Martone play props at the moment. Don't know if you have any. But with that said, give us a player prop that does make sense.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to one that I actually mentioned earlier in the first round because, Carm, well, the fact is you don't always have to mix it up. Sometimes you can reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. That's what we're going to do here with this one. We've got Rickard Rakell, 3+ shots on goal, a nice -110. So not a big plus price, not a big minus price. We're right there at the -110 number. Look, we have puck time at 11 a.m. Eastern, so I am not 100% sure on the line combos, but based on the last game, we did see Rickard Rakell on a line with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust. And to put it lightly, guys, out of Rust, Crosby, and Rakell, which guy is the player that the other teams are going to take their eye off for a second? Which guy is the guy that they might leave open when they're worried too much about Sidney Crosby or Brian Rust? And that guy is Rickard Rakell. Over 2.5 shots. I think Crosby passes to him. I think we'll see Carlson pass to him. I think we'll see Rust pass to him. And over 2.5 shots on goal for him. We're on a good run with these prop bets, guys. I hope you guys have all been tailing and cashing some tickets with me as well. And a few of you guys joined me yesterday on this package. I could not be more grateful for this. And this is the best thing I'm selling right now. CFL last year. #1 at WagerTalk.com. Super excited. Schedule is out. All the information is out. The lineups and stuff like that. Training camp begins. The draft is all over and done with. I'm doing my work, doing my research. If you guys get my CFL special, you're going to get the rest of my NHL at no added cost. You're buying my CFL, which is a long, long, long season, and you're going to get all of my NHL picks, which will hopefully pay for this with the NHL picks. All right, head over to wt.buzz/AM. 8-2, 5% NHL run. I'm sure we'll have some more. And you guys can cash in with me both NHL and CFL. If you want a Canadian handicapper, here we go. Hockey and CFL. I've got you covered. So that's it for me on the show tonight. I actually have a play up, Carm. I've been so low volume. I loaded a play on every single game tonight in the NHL. So I don't have 9 like Brian does today, but I have 3 plays, 1 play on every single game. What do you have for us, Carm?
All right, like to hear it. Let's start with the game that we just discussed, and we'll make it our pod play, just to give you Philadelphia Flyer fans who seem to think that I may or may not like your team a little love. I am taking the Flyers tonight, -122 to close out the series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is one of those ones where the Penguins seem to get me all year long, but I have won betting against them quite a few times, and I'm going to take a shot at it again. I'm going to take the Flyers to close out this series off of a couple of losses. I think we see one of their best games. They don't want to return back to Pittsburgh for Game 7. They don't want that shade. They're going to try and get it done tonight. And that is your pod play, the Philadelphia Flyers -122. How do you like them apples, Andrew?
I'm a bit confused because I thought you wanted a 7-game series, my brother. Come on. Thought you wanted 7 games, and now you want the series to end. You're confusing me.
I would love 7 games, but I'd also love to have a full head of hair and about $50 million in the bank. But that's not going to happen. Anyways, with that said, I'm looking forward to that game tonight. I'll be watching them. A couple plays up in the NHL for tonight. One in afternoon Champions League, and let me find my deal. Let's add this one to the stage. I am using Andrew's almost graphics, guys. The World Cup is right around the corner. 48 teams, first time with this many teams in the World Cup. Definitely looking forward to it. 1 month of daily soccer plays, the World Cup in North America. The games will all be on TV, so you'll be able to follow along. And if you pick up that package, you can get the rest of the NHL for absolutely free. And you have to figure there's going to be at least 10 to 12 packages in the NHL for me at $29 a hit. That pays for the World Cup package in itself, getting the NHL for free. So with that said, head over to WagerTalk and my page at wt.buzz/CB and take advantage of that deal, because we need to make some money during the summer with some World Cup play. So with that said, Andrew, I think I'm pretty much done.
I'm all good.
Are you putting in a show tomorrow? Are you joining us tomorrow?
I'm joining you tomorrow, and then it's my last day. It's my last day for a while.
Fly, Robin, fly. Enjoy your trip, but we will see you tomorrow as well, too, where we discuss whether the Montreal Canadiens can close it out at home after tonight's win. How do you like them apples?
Come on. Yes, and I'm going to be going through time change while Game 6 is taking place, so that's going to be a little bit tough, but I'm bringing my IPTV with me to Portugal, so I think the whole family is going to be a bit shocked when they Andrew's not going to be able to watch sports that much, and then I have every channel humanly possible with me.
Humanly possible. All right, guys, listen, if you like the content, drop us a comment in the comments section after this video is posted. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like button as well as subscribe. If you haven't subscribed previously, and that notification button will alert you to any live shows or free plays that are up on the WagerTalk channel. For myself, Andrew McInnis, and Brian Leonard, this has been Puck Time. Guys, we will see you tomorrow, 11 a.m.